Fox 5 News starts now.
Now 5, it's a problem we've seen across the valley, illegal street racing. It's been nearly a year since Metro Police implemented a new task force to crack down on these reckless drivers.
And now changes are being put in place by Metro officers and other agencies to stop it for good. Fox 5's Danny Maston shows us the mark they are making on the streets.
I'm here at the intersection of US 93 and Grand Valley Parkway. Now that's just 2 miles west of the I-15. Metro has deemed this area here as a hotspot for illegal street takeovers. And for the first time ever in Clark County, NDOT has implemented these rumble strips in this area. Essentially what they do is it forces drivers to slow down and creates an uncomfortable drive.
There were reports of some of these people jumping on the vehicles, slashing tires, and they were afraid that someone's going to lose control.
The decision by Metro, NDOT, and county officials to implement these rumble strips to deter street racers came after truck drivers for a nearby oil company say they were being targeted.
Delivering fuel to Las Vegas that couldn't make it through this intersection because of this illegal activity.
Tire marks from trick driving, trash, and glass bottles can be seen at the US 93 and Grand Valley Parkway intersection from the street takeovers.
And it's all for social media. It's to show how many followers they have and how much can my tires smoke.
Dangerous part of it is people have been killed because of this activity that's out there. It's reckless driving.
NDOT explains how the rumble strips will help to reduce these illegal acts.
Essentially, if you make it a high rate of speed, it's just going to make your car vibrate.
We need to solve this problem, and we need to find some way to not only combat the street racing like we have been, but how can we also deter them even more.
Since Metro's raid team was put into place a year ago, it has made 170 arrests, issued 214 citations, towed 210 vehicles, and recovered several firearms.
LVMPD promised we would go out and we would fight this illegal activity, and we did.
I asked Metro how they plan to determine if these rumble strips are a success.
The raid detail will be monitoring this area specifically to make sure that, hey, we're not going to put up with this anymore.
Metro says if these rumble strips prove to be a success, we could see more implemented in other hotspots across Clark County. Reporting near the US 93 and Grand Valley Parkway, I'm Danny Maston, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
NDOT tells Fox 5 the project to implement those rumble strips costs a total of $70,000.